Chapter 1 Changing World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In front of the vast universe, no amount of ups and downs is just a drop in the ocean. The Xian star calendar is November 15, 1016, the city of Rome is full of autumn colors, and there are many pedestrians on the street. The pace of life in the originally leisurely city has gradually accelerated. The sound of flipping through books in the library of Kyushu University also became noisy. This new century is the best century for students, because knowledge is becoming more and more accessible. As long as you are willing to learn, libraries, ebooks, video sites, self-study sites are all free. It's just that most of those who choose to skip classes even in class are not self-study, thinking of the original body of this body. Qing also felt nostalgic. He knew in his heart that it would be difficult to move forward in the future, but each time he could only persist for a few days and return to the game world. He sighed softly, and while meditating, he quickly flipped through professional books such as STL source code analysis under the guidance of the people around him. The students around originally thought that this kind of maverick or attention-grabbing alternative would calm down after a while, but the morning passed abruptly, and many people had already left the reading room one after another, and ran out to fill their stomachs, and this alternative had already finished reading several bricks. Concentrating on reading and studying for a long time is also overwhelming. Qing narrowed his eyes slightly, hurriedly ate the bread he brought, then sat on the seat and closed his eyes to rest his mind. It's just that every time he closes his eyes, there will be a slowly rotating silver-white jade plate in his mind, reminding him that this is no longer Huaxia. It has been almost 2 months since he traveled to this parallel world. Thanks to the magical silver plate in his mind, he accepted the remaining memories of this body, so he didn't get too flustered. Maybe it was reading pirated novels, playing too many pirated games, and being punished by the god of river crabs. Or maybe it was because he was knocked unconscious by something that fell from the sky when he went out with his left foot. Waking up from the darkness, he transformed from a bearded middle-aged man into a vigorous young man. The young man has the same name and surname as him, also called Qing, who is about to graduate. If he can't make a name for himself, he can only return to his hometown to inherit the family's pig farm. He inquired a lot of common sense through the internet of this world. Reflecting each other with the memories kept in his mind, the technological and cultural development and historical process of this world are exactly the same as the Earth in the previous life, and it is probably the same as it was before the time travel in the previous life. The country I live in is called Daxia. Domestic technology companies have completed the domination of the downstream of the industrial chain and are working hard to upgrade the industry. Since this year, gunpowder has begun to enter all aspects of public life. At first, I thought that I could rely on the accumulation of my previous life to become a civil servant, but when he opened the Word document, he found that his drawing was broken, singing with 5-tone insufficiency. I only remember the complete lyrics of a few songs, and I don't know any tunes or anything. When writing novels, I only remember the general context. Don't bully the poor young man, the god of war after retiring marriage, etc. Let yourself write it out word by word. Not at all. When Chaogong's brilliant avenue collapsed before it even started, in the end, maybe it was because the silver plate in my mind couldn't get past it, and on a certain moonlit night, there was an extra piece of information beside the jade plate. Dimensional Empire Inheritance Jade Plate, Host Lore, 23. Jade Plate Binding Task. The host accumulates 100 points of knowledge, and unlocks the knowledge of the basic science side of the empire. After a lot of tossing, Qing finally understood a little bit. This silver jade plate is actually the inheritance of a powerful empire. As long as you learn more knowledge, you can unlock the knowledge of this empire. It's weird, but it makes sense. The dimensional empire is not an empire tied by blood and race, but an empire that has evolved to be linked by civilization. In the heavens and myriad worlds, if you learn and apply its knowledge, you will be a member of it. Blowing on the air conditioner in the library, looking at the 99 points of knowledge next to the silver tray, Qing finally couldn't hold back the excitement in his heart. In order to increase his knowledge, he has honestly read books for several months. It's incredible to me. How can I take a nap at a time like this? Clap. Immediately, he gave himself 2 slaps. Several large books were spread out, and from time to time, hairs fell onto the pages of the books. Shushan has Lu Qin as its path, and its knowledge has silently increased. The knowledge of the host meets the binding conditions, and begins to adapt to the rules of the dimension, instilling the basic points of technology. The silver-gray light on the jade plate slowly rotated, and several tiny light spots scattered into Gu Qing's mind. It was obviously just a particle like dust, but it set off a storm in my mind. Gu Qing only had a headache for a second before passing out. Information and computing science, renewable resource science and technology, optics, fluid mechanics, polymer physics, surface physics, precision instruments, machinery, automation, an empire that spans dimensions. Its basic subject knowledge is filled in Gu Qing's mind, and then stored in the hippocampus of the brain. Student, classmate. This is not a place to sleep. The staff of the library found Gu Qing fainted on the seat before getting off work, so they hurried over. Stayed up too late and overslept, I'm sorry. Gu Qing shook his head that was still hurting, and said hoarsely, although his brain was still in chaos. He finally regained some consciousness. The staff in uniform saw that although Gu Qing's face was a little pale, but he was in a good state of mind. He felt relieved and said, "It's time to close the door, so get up and go out for something to eat, young lady stay up late." Gu Qing nodded, seeing the two elder brothers still looking at him from the sidelines, knowing that others were afraid that something would happen to him here, so he slowly stood up while supporting the table. After putting the few books on the table back to their original positions, he walked out of the library. The back of the head still hurts from time to time, but after gradually adapting, these conditions are gradually improving. But the stomach is rumbling. Gu Qing couldn't bear to go to the cafeteria anymore, so he bought snacks to fill his stomach next to the campus vending machine downstairs in the library. After finally clearing the 3 vending machines, he was only half full. Fortunately, this life is the second generation of a factory, otherwise the money may not be enough. Gu Qing was still a little groggy until he lay back on his bed. In just a few hours, he seemed to have watched countless movies. As long as he closed his eyes, countless formulas, theorems, and material processing methods would appear in his mind. The jade plate in his mind has returned to its old state, but Gu Qing's mentality is no longer calm. Originally, copying the papers was not possible, and he still wanted to go back to his hometown after graduation and make the pig farm bigger and stronger. As a result, now, the technological knowledge in his mind made him see an unimagined path: break the hegemony that monopolizes the world, and cut off its tentacles that suck the blood of the world. Chapter 2 Boundary Monument. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hey, I chatted with my sister last night and said that I couldn't sleep because I stayed up all night. When I woke up this morning, I received an advertisement for sleeping pills. That with an exclamation, dormitory 404 started a new day. What are you afraid of? Your kid snorts harder than anyone else and takes hammer medicine. Dong Chi, Huang Chaoren's roommate on the lower bunk, rubbed his dark circles, complained, and turned around to play with his phone. It's the era of big data now. People will send you push, it depends on your needs. Need? Hold the grass, you don't know. I will get angry when I mention this. I chat with others and say I want to buy something, and then the browser pushes advertisements for these things from time to time. It's really annoying. Do I have no privacy? Bloomberg, who was studying design in the dormitory, yelled, and said indifferently, "You're good." When I was drawing models, the article advertisements pushed by the browser were simply unsightly. It's unsightly. I, Huang Chaoren, have never lived with drug gambling in my life. Send me the link, and I will report them. Huang Chaoren, who was complaining about big data advertisements just now, immediately cheered up. That's right, you didn't say a word about the coloring, right? Bloomberg choked back. Huang Chaoren smiled and said, "You guys who passed the examination of painting, don't you want to do color?" Ahem, if we continue to talk about this topic, I'm afraid we'll be done. I'll go to the city to do some errands later. If there's any situation at the school, just say hello. Gu Qing hurriedly stood up and braked. The great voyage has just begun, but it cannot be crushed because of this kind of thing. Brother Gu, you've only been chic for 2 days, and you just came back and slept all night, and you're going out again. Lao Yao is urging your paper. Huang Chaoren reminded with concern. It's been done a long time ago. This is a business. If it goes well, when I come back in the afternoon, please go out and have a meal. For the roommates who have been doing more business recently, the other 3 people in dormitory 404 are used to it. When Qing went out with his ID, everyone was still lying down. Brother Gu, do you have a girlfriend? Go out every day to be chic. Huang Chaoran said a little meanly. Dong Qi responded from the lower berth, I think, especially during this time, old Gu is typing on the keyboard every day on the bed, mysteriously. Do you still expect the cycads to bloom so soon? Old Gu, who used to go to the library every day, probably got tired of reading in the school library and went to the provincial library to live. Bloomberg, who was on the other bed, retorted, Gu Qing would be speechless if he knew what his roommate was complaining about. In the past few months, I have been working from dawn to dusk, either reading books to digest knowledge, or building software structures on my laptop, front-end and back-end data clouds, a lot of things to do, although the scientific and technological knowledge in my mind is very good, but the code words are still ordinary human hands, after a few months of suffering. I was bald at a young age and suffered from backaches, but thinking about the future of money, it is not unacceptable, especially when I get my business license and exclusive seal and other documents from the window. I can feel the blood rushing in my heart. Name, Rongqing Jouzhou Technology Company, Limited. Type, Limited Liability Company, Legal Representative, Gu Qing, Business Scope, Design and Manufacture of Computer Software and Hardware, Technology Development and Sales, Database and Computer Network Services. Although the company does not have a single product now, but the scope of business is more than one. After all, Gu Qing's expectation for this company is a sea of stars. How can 1 or 2 projects be possible? After taking the documents and taking photos for file, he stopped by the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China to look at the corporate account, counted the balance carefully, and then walked out satisfied. The hard-earned money earned by loopholes, of course. I also lament the world's official optimization of the process of starting a company, so that entrepreneurs don't need to go through so many troublesome procedures. Fortunately, the money for capital verification of the registered company is not turned into penguin coins, it is just converted into company funds and can still be used normally. Universities in various regions of Daxia are generally concentrated in a university town or cultural industry area, so there are many students from other schools on the bus back to school. Summer is here, and the girls are also dressed in cool clothes. Gu Qing sat in the last row of seats, did not lament the vitality of youth, but looked at the blue sky in the distance with deep eyes. In this bus, it looks a little awkward. He still remembers the 18 years in the last world. Starting from the Qing incident, China's major high-end industries were ruthlessly suppressed. You must know that in the era of global integration, a mobile phone starts from chip design to manufacturing, and then the screen, camera, and memory. The manufacture of hardware and so on is just a part of the cutting-edge industries occupied by various countries. For example, the optical lenses and precision instruments of Germany and Japan, the advanced process memory particles monopolized by Hanqing and Hanlishi, and the major patent barriers controlled by the American forces. Once targeted, patent suppression, high fees, restricted use, hardware supply cutoffs or old versions of products, it will be a fatal blow to the high-tech industry. This parallel world has also come to this critical moment, and this time, he finally has the capital to draw his sword and charge. 404 Dormitory. Brother Gu, are you real or fake? Huang Chaoran stared at the business license in Gu Qing's hand, a little dazed. The other 2, Dong Qi and Bloomberg, were also a little shocked. The roommate went out for a few hours, and when he came back, he became the owner of a company with a registered capital of 1 million. Isn't he dreaming? You must know that in Daxia, the registered capital of the company must be actually paid in full, and the capital can only be used for business operations after the capital verification is completed. That's right. Or a technology company. That with an exaggerated expression on his face, Huang Chaoran stared at the long list of business scopes on the license and looked at it again and again, and said a little funny, Brother Gu, your business scope is to be a leather bag company, a second-hand dealer. No way. Last year, a teacher in our school was a second-hand dealer who subcontracted the project to the seniors to complete the final design. Later, it became known that the finished product of the 20 million invested project was terrible, and everyone went in to pick up soap. This happened not long ago. Bloomberg drank his saliva, and continued to complain. What kind of second-hand dealer? Before the teacher took over, there was only 1 million budget left, and the end-hand dealer is about the same. Gu Qing has heard about this, but his family knows his own affairs, so he can be regarded as a lord who sells melons, and he said with a serious expression, "Perhaps everyone thinks that I am a bit of a fairy tale, but you will know if a mule or a horse comes out. There are already products in hand, although they have not been tested on a large scale, they have been run many times on Android phones. I will send the software to the group now, you guys try it out, experience it and see." Everyone was surprised when they heard it. Huang Chaoran even picked up his phone and joked, "Our phone has never installed software that failed the security check." After putting away the business license and other things, Gu Qing shrugged and said in a relaxed tone, "The software is called Boundary Monument, the icon design has not been done yet, and the functional UI has not been optimized, but the three main functions are done. First, you can forcibly block all the advertisements on your mobile phone software, so as to improve the software response speed and the smoothness of the system operation. However, when this function is launched, I plan to castrate most of it to avoid too much interest." Then the second one is the main privacy function. Boundary Monument is like the real Boundary Monument, it protects all your privacy, does not allow other software to snoop, and puts big data in a cage. This should be officially released subsequent versions to try out. The third is to optimize the system and intelligently manage the power consumption of mobile phones, which can roughly increase the speed by 20% and extend the standby time by about 30%. When Huang Chaoran heard this, he looked at him in surprise, and couldn't help but tease, "Oh, wouldn't that mean that my rice can beat Xia Wei and touch Apple's head?" Gu Qing smiled and said, "I have optimized my Xiaowei P10 in a deeper level, and the Kirin 960 chip has already done a deep optimization of the Android 7.0 system. Both surpassed the Apple A10 by a little bit." Huang Chaoran raised his eyebrows. "Brother Gu, if you're not joking, then brother, can I come to your company to be a sweeper?" As a student of Kyushu University, a major college, his vision is naturally not bad. If this software is really as strong as Gu Qing said, or even only half as effective, then it will be the top optimization master in China, and Qiantu will definitely have no problem. Gu Qing shook his head and said, "The whole family is still talking about this? You can use it first, play games and watch movies, and then give me some feedback." Chapter 3 Kyushu Technology. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The evening in Sichuan is always gentle, and the buildings are dyed with a thin layer of blush under the rays of the setting sun. Room 404 is abnormally quiet at the moment. The three of Huang Chaoran looked at the battery level displayed on the phone, and then they all looked at Gu Qing, their roommate who lived with them for 3 years, with incredible eyes. "I beat the king with rice for 2 hours, and it used up 30% of the electricity. And the smoothness of the screen display is even smoother than that of Dove. Brother Gu, did you get the golden finger from some novel or were you possessed by an alien?" Gu Qing was taken aback for a moment, then looked at Bloomberg. "It is said that most people who engage in art have strange brain circuits, but this roommate of mine literally hits the mark, and he is indeed not a native of the Blue Star. If I were an alien, I would be the first to tie up the three of you for research." After finishing the words, Huang Chaoran nodded and said, "Brother Gu, you can tie her up. Please don't take pity on this delicate flower of mine, just give it to me." "Who wants you so flowers?" Gu Qing looked disgusted, and Dong Qi put down the Xiaowei P10 in his hand at this time, and looked at Gu Qing with a piercing gaze. "The rice and Korean star used by others are so shocking, he is using the same Xiaowei P10 as Gu Qing, the smoothness of playing games, and the slightly warm back of the phone are simply miracles. Brother Gu, I didn't say anything, you are a god." Hearing Dong Qi, who is normally reserved, say this, Gu Qing shook his head and said with a smile, "Stop bragging, just give me some useful advice." Opinion? Grass, Brother Gu, once your software is released, will the major manufacturers have any opinions? As Huang Chaoran said this, he suddenly realized something, blushed and said, "Wait, Brother Gu, is this really our company's first product?" Gu Qing nodded, "I will try to optimize its function before the end of May." "Hey! This needs to be optimized again." Huang Chaoran's pupils were like an earthquake. and the way he looked at Gu Qing was like a monster. Apple is relying on the security of the system and the stability of long-term use to slightly beat Android. How can you optimize it to this point? Saying this, he suddenly put his arms around Gu Qing's shoulders, and asked in a low voice, "Brother, you didn't steal something from one of your mentors, did you? This thing is hot, let's." "It's a hammer." What's the big deal? Gu Qing's heartbeat slowed down by half a beat, and this is the end. He rolled his eyes, pointed at his dangerous hairline and said, "I traded this software for every single hair. Do you think it was stolen? Aren't we concerned about you? After all, Kyushu University is really not very good at this. If you suddenly come up with this thing, it is equivalent to a king suddenly jumping out of a pile of platinum diamonds." Gu Qing. He has been a top student for more than half a year, yet he is still underestimated, unhappily said, "If you feel that there is a problem, just don't participate." "How is it possible? Brother Gu Baba. You can't abandon me, eh?" Huang Chaoran is really a man who can bend and stretch. He originally hugged Gu Qing, but now he has buried his head in his arms, rubbing back and forth like a kitten. "Fuck off, you're gay among gay people." Gu Qing pushed the gay man in his arms away with a look of discomfort. However, although Huang Chaoran's behavior was very gay, it was very effective in calming down the atmosphere. Bloomberg's brain was also active, and he changed the topic and said, "Brother Gu, I can make the interface UI and icons." Dong Qi's temperament was stable, but he asked solemnly, "Our software will not be cracked by others, right?" Naturally, Gu Qing had thought about this for a long time. He tapped on his notebook and said, "I've learned something in the past few years. If others want to crack it, the encryption shell of the software is enough for them. Of course we don't work for others. Gu is strong, Gu is tough. Brother Gu is strong and tough." Huang Chaoran and Peng Bo gave Gu Qing a thumbs up like two crouching dragons and phoenixes. Gu Qing smiled and said, "I have studied for so long, so I naturally know the depth of the water, but I can't go to the other side because of the depth of the water. This is our company's first product, and I generally have directions for subsequent optimization and new product development." "Is there a direction for new product development?" Huang Chaoran's expression can be described as dumbfounded. It is said that Shibi will treat each other with admiration for 3 days, but he feels that his roommate has been completely transformed after being away for 3 hours. Gu Qing nodded, non-committal. Bloomberg is so quick at the moment, he has unknowingly pulled out the digital board and turned on the PS of the notebook. "Brother Gu, what elements are needed for the boundary monument icon, and is there any layout plan for the functional UI?" Seeing this posture, Gu Qing patted Bloomberg on the shoulder and promised, "Don't be in such a hurry, I have ideas about design elements, but our brothers will settle accounts clearly. First clarify the company's treatment. It is impossible to just let the horse run away and not give it to you. Let the horse eat grass." Upon hearing the treatment, the three naturally calmed down a lot. They are all adults, and they have heard many stories about Shimichio Domien. Although the company is still small, it is false to draw a big cake, but since I, Gu Qing, intend to do it, I will make every payment pragmatically. The tentative monthly salary is 8K. The company will start paying 6 insurances and 1 housing fund in July. During this period of time, building the company team and listing, Boundary Monument, is a test for us. How about follow-up option incentives and year-end bonuses to see contributions? A monthly salary of 8K sounds like a lot, but Gu Qing also understands some of the actual situation of the roommates, so this price is really not much. Huang Chaoran is careless on weekdays, but every time there is an event in the department, he takes over the organization. He is good at communication and popular with people. Dong Qi, who wears black-rimmed glasses, is not very active on weekdays, but it is clear where a dime of the class fees he manages goes. This kind of meticulous person, who is proficient in 3 languages, has already started to shine before graduation. Finally, there is Bloomberg, who looks like a little boy. Relying on his drawing skills, he has saved a small 100,000 in more than 3 years. After talking about salary and benefits, it was not Huang Chaoran who nodded first, but Dong Qi who was beside him. He lifted his glasses frame, looked at the still healthy battery on the phone, and said seriously, if Brother Gu is serious, you can leave the finances to me with peace of mind, and I can also contact some channels for the subsequent angel round and around. It is said that people who are silent on weekdays are often the most capable. When Dong Qi said this, Huang Chaoren was the first to be shocked. Although the amount of capital required for the angel round and the A round is not large, it is only compared with the subsequent rounds. At least $1 million is needed to make a base. Dong Qi was really dumbfounded that he was able to secure such funds. Although Gu Qing didn't want other capital to intervene, he also knew that it was Dong Qi's kindness and support, so he patted him on the shoulder and nodded his thanks. Every penny is worth every effort. Everyone knows that Dong Qi is showing his ability. Huang Chaoren's mind turned quickly, and he took care of the personnel recruitment and public relations operations with confidence, and even said that he would settle the matter of entering the school's business incubator within a week. At this moment, Bloomberg embodies the special side of people who are engaged in art. As long as Brother Gu doesn't ask for colorful black, then I'll come. Gu Qing smiled and said, okay, then I won't talk nonsense, let's arrange everyone's work first. I still focus on research and development. Just be bald, Lao Huang, you can find a mentor now, get the office space for the incubator as soon as possible, and you will be responsible for the recruitment later on. Dong Qi, you are a student of finance and accounting. I trust you in this respect. Peng Shuai, I will give you materials and some ideas later, and try to finish the icon and UI design this month. In addition, if you need help or want to recommend someone to come in, you can prepare now. Everyone has a certain degree of understanding of the current functions of the product, and the future of money and career is definitely bright. Finally, brothers, thank you. Gu Qing stretched out his right hand, and Huang Chaoren, Dong Qi, and Bloomberg also stretched out their hands with smiles on their faces. So far, the ship of Kyushu Science and Technology has the captain and his brother, aiming at the stars and the sea. P.S. Please collect, recommend tickets. Chapter 4 Scheme. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The internet is a world full of contradictions. Some software, obviously only have the function of playing video and interacting, plus algorithm tuning. Once it has enough user groups, it can be raised to a market value of 100 billion within a few years. There are often only two ways to market a new product: spend money on publicity, place advertisements, and exchange funds for users. Excellent quality, word of mouth, win the market by function. At the beginning, Gu Qing didn't have a deep understanding of the cost of publicity and distribution. It wasn't until Huang Chaoren put the investigation report on his desk that he realized what money was worthless. Our 1 million, even if we don't pay wages, rent servers, or buy equipment, and just spend all of it on a moment's announcement channel, we can only buy 2 rounds of 5 million exposures in core cities. Fuck, isn't this a money grab? An exclamation came from an office in the Kyushu University Entrepreneurial Incubation Park. No way, traffic is king, and the smell of wine is also afraid of deep alleys. After all, there are too many mobile apps, and consumers can't see all of them. Huang Chaoren shook his head. Gu Qing ignored him, frowned and thought about it. For this 1 million, it will cost 100,000 to rent a server, and then tens of thousands to buy office equipment and computers, and then reserve money for salary. So with this money, 5 million impressions is enough. Seeing this, the 3 people on the side also frowned. Today is the day when the land in the incubation area is approved. The 4 of them stopped by to have a small meeting. How did they know that Huang Chaoren ran to apply for the site during the day? The investigation report caught everyone by surprise, and just when everyone was frowning, Bloomberg suddenly slapped his thigh and said, "Can't we go to Weibo, Tiba, and forums to be trolls?" This sound can be said to be enlightening, and it opened everyone's thinking. Huang Chaoren's eyes were also bright, and he said excitedly, "Yes, we are a young and small company. Why insist on doing announcements like those big companies? Isn't it good to post and flood it? I'll draw some emoticons and comics again, using our boundary monument, kicking rice, punching apples, golden bells to protect your information, and Joyoung magic power to protect your phone's battery." While talking, Bloomberg took out a pencil from his backpack and began to draw. When Dong Qi heard this, some successful cases in his memory also popped up. The song My Skateboard Shoes in the past 2 years was made popular by the agency behind it by intensively pouring water into the internet post-bar forum. With the experience of this case, we only need to ensure product quality and publicity. If the copywriting is not hated by users, it will definitely succeed. Users, trolls, discounted exposure times, announcements. While Qing was chanting these keywords, his brain was running at high speed. Yes, that's the way to go. Qing knocked on the table, attracting the attention of other people. Our recruitment needs to be greatly improved. For the time being, I am the only one who develops software, and Bloomberg is the main force in UI design. Lao Huang, you are responsible for recruiting people and spending money. Throwing money? Huang Chaoran was a little confused. Qing nodded, and explained, we must recruit a few old drivers who like to chat and pour water, and post on the forum. Quantity, it is tentatively set at 10 to 1, that is, if any data has 10 effective amounts, it will be commissioned 1 yuan. These old drivers usually have about 1,000 valid data a day, which is equivalent to 100, plus a month. The basic salary, seriously, is 6,000. You can even open tasks to them, let them give the copy to other people, and get a discount for one level. If we spend 500,000 yuan, we can get at least tens of millions of effective exposures. After all, water posts are not read by one person. If you post water on popular posts, you can easily get thousands of exposures. What do you think? After Qing finished speaking, he looked at the others, but without waiting for Huang Chaoran to talk to Bloomberg, Dong Qi took the lead and said, as a financial manager, I need to ask a very important question, how to calculate their effective amount. After all, it is too common to open more trumpets to brush posts. Is there still time to ask? We can't do this for a long time. Just one question after another. After a heated discussion among the four, it took several hours to complete the publicity and promotion plan. The first phase of promotion funds, 500,000, the first promotion period, 1 month. Goal 1, the number of installed software users will reach more than 100,000. Goal 2, boundary monument 1.0. At least squeeze into the top 10 of the top 10 application platforms such as Android App Store, 361 Mobile Assistant, and Qiandu Mobile Assistant, the market. Feedback was excellent, so we stepped up contact with major mobile phone manufacturers to sell software customization and optimization services for special models. We are not allowed to have advertisements for ordinary users who use software, so in the early stage, we need to cultivate enterprise users and get funds from major mobile phone manufacturers. After the discussion was over, everyone started to write promotional texts again, and they were busy until 2 o'clock in the afternoon when they were hungry and growling before they came back to their senses. As the big boss, Qing patted his chest and said generously, let's go, the cafeteria is full. Huang Chaoran wailed, and then took Dong Qi and Bloomberg to the small restaurant in the cafeteria and ordered a menu. Time slipped away slowly in such a busy and fulfilling way. Kyushu University's Entrepreneurial Incubation Park is actually a joint project of several universities. It is located in the central area of the 3 pillars of Kyushu University, Kyushu Academy of Fine Arts, and Kyushu Institute of Communication. There are 3 buildings and 1 square. The 3 major colleges and universities provide basic services, and successful alumni and entrepreneurs, as well as college experts and professors provide various business guidance, promote the entrepreneurship of college students and drive employment, help college students start their own businesses and attract investment, combine with the transformation of scientific and technological achievements, and combine with the introduction of talents. Qing still remembers the speech made by relevant school leaders about the business incubation area. The main reason is that the various kinds of help mentioned later saved him a lot of money. The 300 square meter office area can accommodate dozens of people. May 10th, today is the first day of the official office of Jojo Technology Company, Limited, and the people recruited a few days ago also signed the contract today and became the trial employees of Jojo Technology. Qing and the other 3 called everyone to the conference room downstairs at a predetermined time for a meeting to let everyone get acquainted with each other, and arrange personnel appointments and the next work content, in the conference room as big as a lecture theater. There were more than 20 college students in casual clothes, which seemed very sparse, but Qing stood in front and looked at the green faces of everyone, but felt a kind of youthful vitality. He said from the heart, "Thank you very much." Then he bowed, not only thanking everyone for coming, but also thanking the silver disc in his mind. Chapter 6 Cloud Surge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhongzhe is a new media person who cooperates with Penguin Digital. Thanks to Penguin's strong platform influence, he can get the first-hand new phone to make a review video, since the evaluation video does not have too much bias to belittle, and he can always get the new mobile phone that will be launched in the first time, so there are millions of users who follow him on all platforms. But today, after Zhongzhe got the new mobile phone Xiaowei Nova 2, he didn't run the score as usual and then shoot the evaluation video. Installing this software called Boundary Monument on the new models released this year and the flagship models last year, we will work overtime to make a comparison video, not only to run scores, but more importantly to compare the performance and battery life of the phone before and after installation. Zhongzhe returned to his office when his colleagues started to get busy. Take out the Xiaowei P10 Plus that was evaluated a few months ago. Qualcomm's Snapdragon 835 and Hansung Ano's 8895 both use 10 nanometers technology, while Xiaowei's HiSilicon Kirin 960 used for P10 Plus is still 16 nanometers technology, so from all aspects of comparison, whether it is data panels or actual use, the leading technology brings more benefits. With low power consumption and less heat generation, the Kirin 960 should not perform so well. As he muttered, he felt incredible when he thought of the experience when he went to the toilet yesterday. Because of his work, he is a heavy mobile phone user in his life, and he often visits various platforms to investigate the latest public opinion trends of digital product users. Naturally, within a few minutes, he saw postings and discussion posts about Boundary Monument. Because he was curious about whether the software was really that powerful, he downloaded Boundary Monument without any hassle, and then started the journey of the king squatting in the pit. With 30% battery, I just squatted for more than 2 hours before the low battery was about to shut down, and my legs were numb for a long time. This is an app made by a team of big guys. Zhongzhe couldn't help but twitch his mouth when he thought of his thighs that were numb within a few seconds after he came out of the toilet. Currently mobile phone hardware is the main focus. Manufacturers optimize and improve performance by themselves. Moreover, even several high-end optimization software at home and abroad do not have the ability to save power, let alone the silky smooth operation when I play the King. It's simply not the level of performance that the Kirin 960 can deliver. Zhongzhe was very excited at this time, because if this software really improves the performance of mobile phones generally, how much help it will be to domestic Android phones, no matter from a technical perspective or in terms of competitiveness and cost performance with foreign products. They are all artifacts. Originally, Zhongzhe's colleagues had a relatively normal attitude. After all, they also did a lot of this type of comparison video, but today this software called Boundary Monument just refreshed their shock value infinitely, so that they haven't done it yet. After the evaluation, I secretly installed it on my mobile phone, because Boundary Monument 1.0's intelligent battery management technology has not been castrated too much. It took Zhongzhe and his team more than half a day to evaluate the usage time of the mobile phone. I have been playing games without charging, and the power of about 4,000 mAh lasted for 8 hours. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Zhongzhe finally started recording the video. Welcome to this episode of the show. I'm Zhongzhe, and we at Penguin Digital have obtained the latest Nova 2 Plus produced by Xiaowei, and it is mainly used by young people. Of course, today's protagonists are besides it, there is another one. It is not a mobile phone, nor a computer, nor is it an external device such as a gimbal, but a piece of software called Boundary Monument. After in-depth experience with my colleagues, I, Zhongzhe, would like to call this software the optimization god of mobile phone manufacturers, and the obliteration monster of Android freezes. Compared with the common optimization software on the market, it is simply sister Qiuxiang and Pomegranate. Contrast, after actual measurement, the Xiaowei Nova 2 Plus with a battery capacity of 3,340 mAh, after loading this software and turning on the smart battery management function, can continue to play King of Glory for 7 hours. Without this software, it can only play King of Glory for about 5 hours. Of course, my colleagues and I also compared the performance of this software on other mobile phones. See the picture for detailed data. It can be seen that the Boundary Monument software has improved the performance of many Android phones by about 10%, while Xiaomi's series of phones using Kirin chips have improved the performance by about 20%. Perhaps this software there is Xiaowei in the team, and there is no possibility of targeted optimization, but in any case, this is a miraculous software. Its optimization for the Android system is unreasonably powerful, but its installation package is only 20 M. Perhaps because of the surge of passion, Zongzi insisted on eloquence for a long time before he remembered today's main mobile phone, and finally spent a few minutes to go through it quickly. It was another sleepless night when the team edited the video and reviewed the content with subtitles before releasing it, but as a media celebrity with millions of fans on many platforms, his video this time is simply a big advertising bill for Boundary Monument. Other up hosts and Big Versus have also started to do relevant evaluations one after another for the sake of popularity, or indeed because they really recommend it. May 24th. Qing sat at his desk, stacked a stack of reports, and swiped the mouse to log into the background of various application platforms. In the past 2 weeks, Boundary Monument 1.0 has more than 4 million registered users. Especially after weekends, the number of users has soared, and it is about to break through the 5 million mark. The report in hand also shows that Finance has issued a promotion reward of 200,000 yuan. Dong Qi stood aside and said, after counting the promotion data and download increments, Chaoran and I estimate that the golden profit time of Chiba irrigation is still 1 week away. If the total time exceeds half a month, the number of new users will plummet. But at present, our Boundary Monument 1.0 has already ranked among the best in the rankings of major application platforms, and will also gain a high exposure rate, attracting platform users to download. So when the golden promotion period of Chiba Forum is over, we can still get enough exposure by relying on the rankings of major application platforms. Qing took a deep breath and rubbed the sore brows. He has been working overtime for the past few days to optimize, transform, Boundary Monument 2.0, function. Now that the number of users has increased, what is the attitude of the major mobile phone manufacturers? That wearing a suit, Huang Chaoran handed over the report in his hand, and concluded from the side, among the first-line manufacturers that have been contacted, Xia Wei expressed his intention to invest and cooperate in research and win-win. OPN 6, as a family, expressed that they can jointly inject capital. Researched and developed and obtained a technology sharing license, and what Rice thinks is to give us 30 million, package and buy the core code and related derivative technologies of Boundary Monument, and they even said that if our technology of Jiangbei is good enough, they can lead the first round of financing and invest no less than 10 million Xia Yuan. P.S. I got the signing contract and cover today, thanks to the children of the old Chen family and digital book friends for the recommendation tickets. Newcomers and new books ask for everything. Hehe. Chapter 7 Thunder. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the voice fell, the office was suddenly silent, but everyone's demeanor was no longer calm. 30 million, this number is not insignificant, especially for students who have just walked out of school. There is even investment. Although none of the three said a word, they still looked at Qing, who was reviewing the report with piercing eyes. Qing obviously noticed the expressions of everyone. He put down the report in his hand, looked at the blue sky outside the office window, and his thoughts gradually arose. His family knows his own affairs. Can he take out the Boundary Monument and cooperate with others in research? Impossible. The core of Boundary Monument is based on the most basic algorithm application of the Dimensional Empire scientific system. It is a symbol system that transcends this era, and it is also a thinking system that transcends current technology. It is destined that he can only master it for the time being, but it will be much easier when artificial intelligence matures, so it is impossible to spend hundreds of millions of rice. Withholding his staring gaze, he looked at the three people who were short of breath, and said with a smile, "Are you willing to sell the chicken that lays the golden eggs? Is it hard to choose between earning 10 million or tens of billions in dividends in the future?" Of course, that's what I said, but one is the banknotes that can be obtained now, and the other is the vision of the future, which tests everyone's thinking. Hearing this, the three of them calmed down a lot, and after another thought, Qing made this boundary monument by himself. Do they have the nerve to pay for it? Several people couldn't help but blushed. With the growth of Daxia's economy, the pie of technology and entertainment industries will only grow bigger and bigger. Boundary Monument is not only a stepping stone for our Kyushu technology, but also a cornerstone. I have been living with roommates in college for so many years, and I can reveal to you a secret. The core source code used by Boundary Monument can not only be applied to mobile phones, but also to computers and PCs. As long as the current machine language can support devices, if there can be applications, we who enjoy this technology exclusively, will we still be short of money? Hearing what Qing said, the three of them couldn't help but nodded, but the smiles on their faces not only didn't decrease, but even increased a little bit. Then, we rejected them? Huang Chaoran asked. Qing shook his head. It's true that we need funds for development, so let's talk to them about the special optimization of this business. If it doesn't work, we can also try to show you that Boundary Monument will no longer support their mobile phone optimization in subsequent updates. There are hundreds of millions of mobile phone users from major manufacturers. Is it okay to threaten them like this? Huang Chaoran asked with some doubts. As long as Boundary Monument has a good enough function and the number of users increases, we will rely on the emperor to command the princes, just like the display screen and memory of Korean Star, and the closed system and ecosystem of Apple. There is this kind of leading in the industry and it is not easy for others to replace it. Products, then other people dare not really turn their backs. After all, to make money, one size is one size. Especially when talking with Xiaowei, you can pay more attention. Xiaowei has been developing high-silicon Kirin for so many years. It has barely caught up with Qualcomm's development pace alone, but its graphics performance and peak performance are slightly weaker, and the GPU cannot stabilize high frequency. Even when the technology is equivalent to Qualcomm, with the blessing of Boundary Monument, Kirin can overwhelm Qualcomm. The same is true for other manufacturers. As long as they are domestic manufacturers using the Android system, they can contact them. If foreign manufacturers, including Apple, find them, they will be dismissed first because they are busy with business and cannot adjust. In short, it's just one point: if you pay money for optimization, if you don't pay money, you won't optimize. After all, our Boundary Monument 1.0 version is just for them to inspect the goods. Lao Huang, you can continue to talk. Let the bullets fly for a while. They will be anxious by themselves. Treat, behead, accept as a dog. We are dragons crossing the river, not clay bodhisattvas. After Qing set the tone, Huang Chaoran nodded and left the office. Yanjing Colorful City, the headquarters of Rice Company. Although it was after dusk, the office building was still brightly lit, and there were many young people with thin hair in the office who were struggling to work. Since the Rice Company was established in 1010 in the Xiaoyin Star calendar, it has grown into the top 5 in the domestic mobile phone industry in just a few years, all thanks to these firewood. Kyushu technology is coming in menacingly. There was a sigh in the president's office. Gao Xiang closed his eyes slightly, and his mind was full of thoughts. Since he joined Rice in 1015, he was in charge of the group's functional platform and assisted the CEO in charge of the group's operations. This time, he had a premonition that the shock of the mobile phone industry brought about by a new wave of technological storms might start again. It is not unfounded worry, but based on his profound knowledge accumulation and in-depth understanding of the industry, he graduated from Yanjing University of Technology with a bachelor's degree in electronic engineering. He has more than 20 years of rich experience in the field of semiconductors and communications. He once served as the senior vice president of Qualcomm and the president of Daxia district. He also held important positions in sales and marketing in Motorola, Lucent/Ajira and other companies, but a few days ago, this tycoon in the mobile phone industry came into contact with a software called Boundary Monument, the incredible optimization of the Android system, as well as the extremely intelligent power control algorithm and hardware optimization, all made him amazed, of course. The more important thing is that after 2 full days and 2 nights, no one in the company, no matter whether they are senior technicians or fresh graduates, failed to crack the shell of this software, how to optimize the Android system, improve the performance of the mobile phone, optimize the hardware to improve the algorithm, and adjust the power output. In fact, people in the circle have general directions for these problems, but what is missing is how to implement them concretely. As long as Rice understands the technology of this software and uses it on the 2nd generation full-screen mobile phone Mix 2 in September this year, it will be the real king of performance. Who dares to compete? Can the domestic Xiaowei OP/6 win the Snapdragon 835 with a 20% performance increase? What he wanted was to try to see if it could be cracked, and at the same time acquire the technology and prepare with both hands, but just now, Kyushu Technology gave the news and refused to buy it, but it can provide special optimization for Rice mobile phones, as long as they give money. Since you don't want to be friends, let your hard work become the stepping stone for Rice to ascend to the throne. Gao Xiang's deep voice sounded, after picking up the phone and reporting the latest situation to Big Boss CEO Lei Jun. The other side of the phone was quiet for a moment. You keep following up, and I will rush back after the meeting here. Okay. The morning light in the sky had already broken the darkness. Lei Jun hung up the phone, and stared at the neon lights that kept flashing in the steel forest. He traveled overseas, negotiating patent licenses and multi-party cooperation agreements with giants such as Microsoft and Nokia. Although he was in a difficult situation, he still gained something. Unexpectedly, there would suddenly be another cross-river dragon in the country. MAUI, Rice Pomelo, is one of the 2 pillars of the Rice ecosystem. Hong Fong should be interested in this Kyushu technology. P.S. How about the cover? Hey. I sent the signing contract today. After changing the status, it will be 4K a day. Continue to ask for recommendation tickets for collection. I also thank Tianya 199, the children of Lao Chen's family and other digital book friends for the recommendation tickets. Seedlings need everyone's help. In addition, in the subsequent episodes, the author will not blow or blackmail any company. Chapter 8 Lightning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. MAUI is a third-party mobile phone operating system based on the deep optimization, customization and development of the Android system under Rice technology. It is specially designed for the habits of Chinese people and comprehensively improves the native experience. In recent years, various domestic manufacturers in Daxia have their own customized UI, high-frequency updates and optimizations, and the user experience of the public has also increased year by year. After all, brands with poor user experience will not last long unless the product is irreplaceable. Due to the development of the Internet, the speed of information dissemination has leapt, and the performance of mobile phone hardware has long been transparent, so the era of pure hardware stacking is almost over. Under the same hardware performance, the personalized services of major mobile phone manufacturers are particularly important, and among them the UI is the top priority. Each of the domestic 4 has its own specialty. Dreaming of breaking away from Google's Rice MAUI, Oppo Color OS gradually losing its personality, Vivo FunTouch OS, a fine imitation of iOS. There are always small bugs for Xiaowei EMUI. Yes, the 4 major manufacturers with the largest shipments in China now have their own complaints, and each of them has a focus on the tuning of mobile phone software and hardware, that is, defects. For example, the fever of the rice, the whitening of Xiaowei's photo, the birth of Boundary Monument, is a sudden appearance of a treasure in the eyes of major manufacturers. It has the feeling of lightning and thunder. It is very useful, but it is not irreplaceable. After all, in addition to patents, the current technology companies are more important than people and gameplay, software functions. The big deal is that technology can be obtained by poaching people with high salaries or imitating them. Note 1. The person in charge of Mio, Hong Fong, whose hairline is a bit dangerous, is still working at his desk at this moment. After receiving a call from Lei Jun, he looks natural. This software, our team is cracking. No problem, good. After the short call ended, he stretched himself. Since the beginning of the millennium, Hongfeng has worked in Siebel as the chief engineer of web applications, and then entered Google America as a senior software engineer, and is the main person in charge of Google Calendar and Google Maps 3D Street View projects. In 2010, he accepted Lei Jun's invitation to participate in the founding of RICE, and is now in charge of MIUI business. Along the way, he has seen a lot of strong winds and waves. But the boundary monument he encountered now made him feel a little strange, invading the other party's server, modifying data, forging data, relying on my own team. I couldn't get it done for a whole week. As for cracking the shell of the software body and obtaining the source code of the other party, it is even more at a loss. There is nothing wrong with it. If it is being cracked, it is just a verbal coping, and even one's own ego is at work. Is this software for civilian use? He frowned, and his thoughts spread to the relevant research results and research directions of major international research laboratories. Boundary monument, the packet security technology of the software. He only thinks that this may be the technology of some research laboratory, and the language algorithm used for writing is not something that folk technicians can create. If you can eat this fruit, how much will it be? Comfortable, of course. All crows in the world are generally black. At this moment, the four major domestic manufacturers and the second-tier manufacturers with strong R&D capabilities are basically trying to crack the boundary monument, but some are sneaky, some are aboveboard, and they do one thing in front of the other. In the early morning, Qing went back to work in the company. Because the company was first established, the security was still relying on the gatekeepers of the business incubator, so he came very early every time, and often even slept in the office, and went back to the dormitory to wash during the day, wake up the computer in the off-screen state, click on the silver disk icon, turn your head and blink at the camera on the side, after successfully swiping the face and entering the password. An interface opens on the display, rows of data streams are refreshed, and even top hackers have to rack their brains to understand these numbers. TSK, it was another four-figure temptation last night. You are really rich, and you can invite so many people to make trouble. If only I were so rich, it would be great. Qing is no longer a bunny. When he took out the cross-age optimization software such as Boundary Monument, he had prepared a set of security measures, Xuanwu, a security shield program based on the Yinfu logic language of the Dimensional Empire. It can intelligently and actively defend, and learn optimization algorithms to perform secondary reverse tracking. Disadvantages: high power consumption, burning CPU, no advanced artificial intelligence, unable to actively collect data online for big data learning. Although there are a lot of shortcomings, the advantages are very prominent, that is, safety, prudent security. Even if it really can't beat it, it will actively shut down all interactions with the outside world, allowing users of Boundary Monument to rely on the software's main function to live. Of course, the future of Xuanwu is still very promising. Big data learning optimization, together with Qing's tuning algorithm, enrich and upgrade the core of the ontology, coupled with hardware with sufficient computing power, not to mention crushing the global security system every minute. But at least it will no longer shrink the defense. Rome wasn't built in a day. Meals have to be eaten at a bite. I have to be steady and steady. Qing observes the information on the data stream, and simultaneously translates the information that he can understand in his mind. Although the history and technological trends of this world and this era are the same as those in the previous life, he does not want to capsize in the gutter. He wants to use Boundary Monument to tie up part of the capital and partner companies, and then use his own funds to get involved in the hardware field, the technological war of the previous life. The news of being monopolized and suppressed is not uncommon. He deeply knows that what is invincible will never be software, intelligent big data, but the basic hardware equipment and facilities based on all the prosperity of the Internet. Without hardware with high computing power and high-speed Internet broadband, mobile payment and shopping is a joke, and the amount of computing on 11 is not a small number. And without a sufficiently developed and cheap train transportation network and highways, can online shopping be delivered to customers quickly? 3-day delivery within the province and 7-day delivery across the country. These services can only be completed by relying on the infrastructure construction of the Daxia government and the efforts of the people, instead of what the capital said, optimize the workflow by relying on big data and artificial intelligence. So Gu Qing sees very clearly that Kyushu technology can move steadily if the hardware is strong enough. After dealing with the problem of last night, it didn't take long for someone to enter the company and start schwa business. Tai, with dark circles under his eyes, Huang Chaoran came to his cubicle with bread and breakfast in hand. At this moment, his head is still a little numb, and even his ears are still numb. After yesterday's meeting, he followed Gu Qing's arrangement and exchanged views with people from several major manufacturers one by one, and then received countless calls. Some mobile phone manufacturers contacted, some organizations contacted and cooperated, and even threatened. Due to the nature of his work, he still can't turn off the phone to sleep, and can only be woken up by phone calls. Even if he encounters Rui, Sha, Ji, coin, he can't spray back. P.S. Continue to ask for recommendation tickets and favorites. This is really important. Note 1. This is the case with bytecode plagiarism, where many function names are the same, and even misspelled functions are copied intact. == the déjà vu of copying answers from students. Of course, this matter is too common, and the warlock will write about it later, but after all, it is an outsider. If there are mistakes, please point them out, and I will try my best to correct them. Please be gentle. Chapter 9 The Fist is Hard. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Old Huang, are you cultivating to the point of crossing the catastrophe? Gu Qing patrolled the office, and naturally noticed Huang Chaoran, who was exuding decadence and gloom. Among the young people full of vigor and vitality, the demented old Huang with a dull face, mechanically opening his mouth to bite the bread, pale complexion and deep dark circles under his eyes is really conspicuous. Ababa. Huang Chaoran mechanically bit the bread in his mouth, and responded. Hold the grass, boy, are you alright? Gu Qing was a little worried about Lao Huang's physical condition. Why did this posture feel a bit like the middle road collapse before the start of the business? Huang Chaoran nodded, and said in a hoarse voice, it's okay, but not completely okay. It's just that I need to take it easy. After thinking about it, Gu Qing also knew that Lao Huang was probably bombarded by too many phone calls, but there is no way. In the early stage of entrepreneurship, it is very important to have people who know the basics as tool people in some key positions. Huang Chaoran has lived with him for so many years, and he already knows the length of the relationship, but not the depth. Although he is a bit extroverted, he has a sense of justice, and behaves well. The most important thing is that he has a thick skin and a strong ability to withstand pressure. Just for the office of this business incubator, he spent a few days beside the counselor, moving things and buying water to show his hospitality, which is why he was approved so quickly. But being young is good. After Huang Chaoran ate the bread, he went to the washroom next to the floor to wash his face with cold water, and his expression became much brighter. Back at the desk, I flipped through my phone to take notes and started working. People are compared. Huang Chaoran was dizzy from the business calls, and Dong Qi audited and checked the daily promotion expenses, and often worked overtime. There are 4 people in dormitory 404, and the most relaxed one at the moment is Bloomberg, with 2 friends from the art department. I draw emoticons at work, optimize the company's web design, and touch fish from time to time. However, after Huang Chaoran entered Gu Qing's office, the design department suffered. Design the custom UI interface of the 4 major mobile phone manufacturers, design the boundary monument, multi-period skin, and come up with a rough plan within 2 days. Bloomberg opened his mouth to speak, unable to close it. Wow, dear mother, brother Gu, boss Gu, are you trying to kill the 3 of us in the design department? Gu Qing shook his head, then looked at Huang Chaoran. Lao Huang received the signal. Although he felt a little sorry for his brother, he still said, because people from the 4 major manufacturers will arrive in Rongqing tomorrow. Brother Gu means to wait for everyone to come to our company to discuss preliminary cooperation intentions, so we should show them some sincerity. Gu Qing also explained from the side, the software interface does not need to be too troublesome, just add their logo and corresponding corporate characteristics, and for multi-time skins, just use the colorful mode and optimize it. Hearing this, Bloomberg still breathed a sigh of relief. If it was just like this, 3 people could do it with 1 liver. The design should be able to be completed. I'll discuss it with them. Of course, everyone didn't think about empty-handed white wolves to let others talk, or let them wait a few more days before discussing cooperation. they represent the four major manufacturers, not the school canteen, so it is impossible to just wait and wait. Just like that, people from the design department also joined the army of staying up all night, but when the first edition was handed over to Qing for review, Bloomberg finally realized once again what Party A is. This black background is too dark, it needs to be lighter, and it can't look too gray. The color of this font is light. Against the background of this color, there is no contrast and the experience is poor. The color of this interface is too complicated, and there are too many elements of Xia Weihua, which is not suitable. It is necessary to highlight the characteristics of our two companies and cooperate for a win-win situation. Hearing these words, Bloomberg is hard. His clenched fists were already hardened, but seeing that Qing was also staying up late and working overtime to accompany them, and his temples had a little gray hair at some point, he took a deep breath and nodded to accept these opinions. Then I'll go and change it. Watching Bloomberg walk out of the office, Qing sighed. He has received a lot of scientific knowledge, but his own artistic skills are really not enough. It would be great if the digital board and PS can work on the computer by themselves. It's a pity that there is no perfect person in the world. Even a saint must be sent to the altar after death to be considered a perfect saint. After sighing, Qing continued to write the code. As the number of attacks becomes more frequent, Xuanwu, security shield also needs more tuning and optimization. Only in this way can it grow and become more intelligent. The artificial intelligence that is usually learned and copied by data on the internet is not enough. TuneTeach will only become an artificial mental retardation. The news that the representatives of the four major manufacturers were coming to the company for a meeting also spread among the young, water, class, soldiers. Although there will always be people who say that rice is a silk machine, summer is an IQ opportunity, but in the face of these big companies, a person with an online IQ and EQ will not despise the other party. On May 27, a group of hurried people came to Kyushu University's business incubator. Although they talked and laughed from time to time, their expressions were all solemn. I thought I would be the first to meet the client and negotiate a deal, but how did I know that Kyushu Technology insisted that they wait in the hotel until everyone arrived before receiving them together? The representatives of the four major manufacturers are also familiar with each other. After all, these days, they may be poached as colleagues someday, or once colleagues were poached away. Qing was naturally the leader of the team, and Huang Chaoran who was at the side had already read the information of the relevant personnel, so he introduced it at the side. After greeting the representatives of the four major manufacturers, Huang Chaoran opened the way ahead and led everyone to the conference room. Because of the large number of participants, they did not go to the small meeting room of Kyushu Technology, but in the last latter meeting room, in the spacious and bright room. The layout has already been arranged, and the names of each company are written on origami on the base of the table. It was yesterday that Qing mobilized the company's watering army to clean up and arrange. Seeing this, Zhang De, the leader of Dami's party, unconsciously looked down a bit. They really are a group of fledgling students who don't pay attention to the rules, but choose a conference room so simple. Let's go according to the procedure of our rehearsal yesterday. Lao Huang is responsible for covering me. Dong Qi will settle the score later, and then we will talk about some design ideas. Qing whispered to several people. Huang Chaoran nodded, scanned the crowd and said, "Are we sure we won't provide them with lunch?" Qing smiled and waved his hands. "If they can accept the canteen in the park, then let's take care of them." "Okay, then you have to ask earlier, so I can call the cafeteria and make arrangements." In the past half a month, the employees of Kyushu Technology have been eating in the canteen of the park, and Huang Chaoran has already gotten to know the person in charge of the canteen, so it is still possible to reserve a part of the canteen. P.S. Thank you for the monthly tickets and recommendation tickets, these are really important for new books. Then today it is already signed, so we will start to guarantee 2 updates every day. If there are more votes, or if there are rewards, we will add updates depending on the situation. Hey, thank you all. Chapter 10 Security Shield. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After everyone was seated, the door of the meeting room was closed, and Qing just opened the PPT. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door in the quiet conference room, and the sound was so urgent that everyone couldn't help but follow the prestige. Huang Chaoran had quick eyes and hands, and hurriedly got up to open the door. After the door opened, there were two urban beauties in rather delicate clothes. Huang Chaoran whispered, "We rented this meeting room from Kyushu Technology for a day, and we are having a meeting now. Who are you two?" It is said that beauty is delicious, and when the cold wind blows in the corridor, Huang Chaoran's nose is filled with the scent of roses. The leading woman, with a smile on Guazi's face, said, "We are the sales staff of Ejia Mobile. My name is Qin Lihua. I contacted your Minister Huang last night." "Minister Huang? Connect?" Qin. Huang Chaoran was stunned, remembering the pretty girl he had added to his V letter last night, as if she was going to come to his office for a coffee appointment. "I thought it was a chatsaw, but it turned out to be true." "Oh, I'm Huang Chaoran. The company is in a meeting. Ms. Qin is not a member of the meeting. If you have business discussions, please wait a moment. I will take you to the company's meeting room for a while." With a righteous face, Lao Huang refused the girl's entry, then turned around and whispered a few words beside Gu Qing. Having investigated the world's mobile phone market, Gu Qing is no stranger to Ejia mobile phones, and the main focus is cost-effectiveness. Although the brand has been established for a short time, its sales and popularity are not low. Thinking of the representatives of Oppo and Vio in the meeting room, he rolled his eyes and said, "Let them in, for sheep are chaste, and 5 sheep are also chaste." Huang Chaoran nodded in embarrassment. After all, this emergency had deeply interfered with him. Qin Lihua was beautiful, wearing a rose-red suit with lace shadows on the towering part. As soon as she entered the conference room, she made everyone's eyes shine. Gu Qin came over, stretched out his hand and said with a smile, "Welcome friends from Ejia Mobile. The meeting has not officially started yet, you can take the seats on the right." Qin Lihua stretched out her catkin, and lightly shook Gu Qing's hand, with a rather surprised expression on her face, and a gleam in her eyes. The young man is full of vigor, but he has a thorough understanding of the Android system. It's really scary. "Hi Boss Gu, we Ejia Mobile Phone are very grateful for your company's, Jibe, optimization of Android phones, and hope that we will have a pleasant cooperation in the future." Gu Qin nodded with a smile, and Huang Chaoran who was at the side hurriedly led the two of them to the side to sit down. The episode passed, and the meeting room became quiet again. All eyes were on Gu Qin. To be honest, it was the first time for Gu Qin to be stared at by industry elites, and Gu Qin was still a little uncomfortable, but he was not timid. Instead, he clicked on the PPT, nodded and said, "Welcome all major manufacturers to our Kyushu technology. Because of the shortage of personnel, the company is busy with business, so I have arranged everyone for today's time slot. Please bear with me." The so-called stretching out and not hitting smiling people, the boss of Kyushu Technology expressed his apology emotionally and rationally at the beginning, and the faces of everyone present also eased a lot. After all, it's impossible to cause trouble because of this. After all, everyone has come, and if you don't get some results back, how can you make a deal? On the PPT, a dragon shadow passed by, and the Boundary Monument app appeared in the center of the screen, surrounded by the logos of major manufacturers. Of course the prosperity of the world is for profit, and the hustle and bustle of the world is for profit. I'll cut to the chase and let everyone laugh. Boundary Monument 1.1 Enterprise Customized Edition, 3-speed performance acceleration, all-app advertisement optimization based on Android system, intelligent battery management, can run locally without network, installation package size, 21 M. After the words fell, the expressions of everyone present were still very calm, because they came here for this thing. Of course, such cliched things will definitely not meet everyone's needs, so there is another version of Boundary Monument, to show everyone. With a swipe of the finger, after the PPT page is turned, a QR code appears on the screen. You can scan the QR code to download and install Boundary Monument Security Shield 1.0. The effective running time of the software is 3 hours. It cannot be shared and copied. It will be automatically destroyed after 3 hours. Of course, please rest assured that it will not delete or change any information on the phone. The software has not yet optimized the ARC UI, so there are only simple function bars. The first function is Security Shield Detection, which scans mobile phone vulnerabilities and software violations. It can detect illegal activities including but not limited to mobile phone software and hardware secretly opening the network to upload user information, recording user private information, and stealing corporate files. The second function is the Boundary Monument Guardian mode. When this function is turned on, the mobile phone will establish a smart shadow system and enter the Boundary Monument Guardian mode, that is, any information you enter will deceive the software's records and keep your privacy highly confidential. The software and hardware require you to provide private information. In this mode, you can choose to provide false information to continue using the software and hardware functions, or reject their actions and give up using the functions. In the industry, we all know the security of software and hardware. If the Android system is riddled with holes, the Apple system is called a backdoor. Therefore, Boundary Monument Security Shield 1.0 is our Kyushu Technologies cooperation with our partners and us. A steel of a safety barrier built by a friend. Of course, if everyone is worried about the privacy and security of data uploading, we can cooperate to build a cloud data processing center and supervise each other. In fact, this is also the biggest reason why we fixed a time for everyone to come to Kyushu Science and Technology together. It is too inefficient to talk with each other, at this moment. Let everyone gather together and communicate with each other after using the experience, and because the functions are still being optimized, our Kyushu technology can only support 3 mobile phone manufacturers at most. The follow-up technology is mature and the server optimization is completed to support more friends. Performance. Mobile user experience. How can an acceleration software attract enough users, or eventually become a member of the Android system camp? That's all. If the environment deteriorates, let's take a step back, because domestic manufacturers' large-scale shipments have provoked foreign powers. Under the pressure of capital, Qualcomm will not authorize, TSMC will not produce, and Samsung will supply the screen and memory of a generation behind. Let the backward hardware of domestic manufacturers turn around. No matter how strong and optimized the 10 nanometers chip is, it will not be able to beat the 5 nanometers chip. Therefore, it is very important to put part of the functions of Xuanwu into the boundary monument. Let the definition of security improve the function of boundary monument, and make it worthy of the name. The phone is safe, but what about the computer? 361 Family Bucket. Back then a little bit. P.S. Thanks for the monthly ticket and recommendation ticket == Chapter 2 update. Hey.